Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from beautiful Austria, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and your co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Weissensee, up here in the Austrian Alps. Incredible place we're staying. Oh, my God, I just swam all morning in a beautiful alpine pond with my son, Tarun. Then we had ping pong. We ate incredible prasad, and we have to leave tomorrow. Tomorrow's our last day here, Kastuba.
I wish you were staying.
Wish it was too. Got to go back. We got to plan these things better.
Yes, you do.
Yes. But we're going back to Mikkel's place in Tuscany, and then we're going to fly out of Tuscany, and then we're going to have a few days off of the show. Mara, what's the days off with the show this week? It's travel days.
Yeah, we're going to be off for the next 3 days. So no show on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. And then we'll be back on Tuesday at our regular 6 a.m. time.
Tuesday at regular 6 a.m. time. Sans Kastuba. Kastuba is going to be enjoying the material energy.
I'll be traveling at that time. Yeah. And my computer went down too. That's another thing, So, but anyway. We've missed a few shows this month,
so we're gonna. Okay, it's okay, it's gonna be all squirrels next week. It's Squirrel Week with Raghunath, and we're gonna miss you, Kastuba. All right, so let's. What do you say we dive into right to the Bhagavatam today, because we've been doing a lot of talking lately, doing a lot of interviews lately. Let's go right into the sweet nectarian ambrosial pot.
Chant those beautiful mantras.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tojayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshvabhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Madatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, Text 8.
Okay, I think this text. Oh, by the way, I just want to mention something too, because my computer went down. For the next so many shows, there's not going to be the normal thumbnails. So if you're looking for a show and it seems like it's an odd thing, just click on it anyway, right? As they come up, don't look for the old thumbnails. Okay. So this text is the last one we're going to hear from Hanuman. And then we're going to travel to another place in the universe.
Very interesting. Okay, this is text 8. Kastuba will continue this week to try to control me by holding the microphone, and I will continue to fight back.
I'm just trying to help the ears of the listeners.
Okay. All right. That's reasonable. Text 8. Therefore, whether one is a demigod or a demon, a man or a creature other than man, such as a beast or a bird, everyone should worship Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears on this earth just like a human being.
This reminds me of the Radha Raman song that we've been singing on the retreat, right? Whether you're this or whether you're that.
Whether you're this, whether you're this or whether you're that, whether you're doing this or whether you're doing that, just worship Radha Raman.
Doesn't matter.
I'm working on that. I'm going to try to add that to my repertoire.
It's a beautiful song. It's powerful.
It's a powerful song. Yeah. There is no need of great austerities. Good to know. Or penances to worship the Lord, for he accepts even a small service offered by his devotee. Thus he is satisfied. And as soon as he is satisfied, the devotee is successful. Indeed, Lord Sri Ramachandra brought all the devotees of Ayodhya back home, back to Godhead.
So that's that message that's being shared here, right? If we read this commentary, we could read some of this commentary if you'd like to. But this is one of those commentaries where Srila Prabhupada's saying is, in the past ages, the method for self-realization was, it involved austerities, it involved penances. They were intense, they were severe even. But he'll go on to say, in this particular age, it's none of it's necessary, right? All of that, in one sense, those other practices can be somewhat indirect, right? And so when you don't have all the qualifications, you got to be very direct. And here he's just saying, just worship Lord Ramachandra. He brought everyone back. He brought the monkeys back, or the monkey-like creatures back. He brought us forest dwellers back. None of the externals really mattered. Simply, if you felt within some devotion for the Lord, he took you back. He brought you to that completion of the ladder, or you can say you ascend to the pinnacle of the yoga perfections.
It's especially useful in Kali Yuga when we're not good at anything, when we're not good at austerities, we're not good at concentration. People don't even read books anymore. Did you read the book? And there's like, yeah, I listened to that book. They're like, what do you mean you listen to the book? Well, it's an audio book. I don't read anymore. Or they even have now they have this other app. You know what it's called? This other app where it summarizes the book for you. You don't even have to read the book. We're just going to tell you the whole book, what it's about. People aren't even reading. It's like our intelligence, in the name of being very evolved, our intelligence is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
True.
And now all we watch is reels and little tiny videos.
Podcasts.
Yes. Next verse.
Now we're going to switch it up. We're going back to Shukadev Goswami is going to speak now.
What happened?
It's underneath. You want to read it from right here?
Sure.
Why don't we read it from the book?
The purport?
Yeah. No. The next verse.
Okay.
But read it from the book.
Text 9. So this is Sukadeva Goswami. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are inconceivable. He has appeared in the form of Narayan in the land of Bharat Varsh, at the place known as Badarik Ashram.
So now we've come down to the earthly level, it appears, right? Or at least the earthly realm.
Yeah. Yes. To favor his devotees by teaching them dharma, right? Religion, knowledge, and renunciation. And spiritual power, sense control, and freedom from false ego. It's teaching all these things, important things. Dharma, jnana, vairagya, spiritual power. What is the Sanskrit for spiritual power? Aishvarya, mystic opulences. Upashama, control of the senses, and uparama, freedom from false ego. He is advanced in the opulence of spiritual assets, and he engages in executing austerity until the end of this millennium. This is the process of self-realization.
Okay, so Vishnu appears as this unique Narayan Rishi, which has since the beginning of this podcast has remained a mystery to us.
He's quite an enigma. Narayan Rishi. Oh, you want to hear something interesting, Squirrel?
Yes.
Since 2007, I've been taking groups on pilgrimage. And I love doing it. It's my joy. It's my passion. It's the most exciting thing I do all year. But I'm going to do a little pilgrimage just for myself. Just me and a couple people.
Okay.
Going to Badrinath and Kedarnath.
When do you plan on doing
Can't tell you.
that? Okay. Try to let me know before you do it at some point.
We'll try to get a signal. Maybe we could do a show from there. Live from Badrinath.
Good luck.
Yes.
I mean, it would have to be some other kind of signal.
Yes. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. I'm going to bring it back now. You want a purport? No. Oh, here it is. Here's the purport. This is people in India may visit the temple of Narayan at Badrik Ashram just to learn how the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Narayan engages in austerities to teach the people of this world how to achieve self-realization.
When you come back, I want you to share that with us.
Okay. It is impossible. You know what's interesting? Paramananda went up to Badrinath. Not that a few years ago. We had a group that was going and we got rained out, so we couldn't go. But he went a few weeks later, and he said he met this sadhu there who lived in a cave, and the sadhu said, "The highest thing is you just worship Krishna in Vrindavan." He's like, "I came all the way to the Himalayas to hear that."
It's true.
It's true. We know that. Yet still. Okay. It is impossible to realize oneself simply by absorbing oneself in speculation and material activities. One must be very serious about self-realization and the practice of austerity. Unfortunately, people in this age of Kali do not even know the meaning of austerity. I just said that. Under these circumstances, the Lord has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bestow upon the fallen souls the easiest method of self-realization, technically called Chaitodarbana Marjanam, cleansing of the dirt from the core of one's heart. This method is extremely simple. Anyone can chant the glories of Krishna Sankirtan.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I continue.
Next text.
Next text. This is text 10. In his own book, known as the Narada Pancharatra, Bhagavan Narada has very vividly described how to work to achieve the ultimate goal of life, devotion, through knowledge and through execution of mystic yoga, the mystic yoga system. He has also described the glories of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The great sage Narada instructed the tenets of this transcendental literature to Savarni Manu in order to teach those inhabitants of Bharatvarsh who strictly follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma and how to achieve bhakti or devotional service to the Lord. Thus, Narada Muni, along with the other inhabitants of Bharatvarsh, always engages in the service of Narayan, and he chants as follows.
Okay, now we're going to hear his prayers. What you doing?
I'm adjusting.
Yeah.
So these are the prayers. Ready? Yeah. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Narayan, the best of all saintly persons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's saying that Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the most self-controlled and self-realized. He is free from false prestige, and he is the asset of persons who have no material possessions. So this is happening at Badrinath, at Badrik Ashram.
These are his prayers.
This is Narada's prayers at Badrik Ashram to the deity there of Narayan, because that's the deity, right? Or to
He may see him, he may be able to actually see him, not in his actual form, but either way.
Okay. He is the spiritual master of all Paramahamsas, who are the most exalted human beings, and he is the master of the self-realized. Let me offer my repeated obeisances at his lotus feet. Narada, the most powerful saintly sage, also worships Narayan by chanting the following mantra. Here's the mantra in English. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the visible cosmic manifestation. Yet he is completely free from false prestige. Although to the foolish he appears to have accepted a material body like us, he is unaffected by bodily tribulations like hunger, thirst, and fatigue. Although he is the witness who sees everything, his senses are unpolluted by the objects he sees. Let me offer respectful obeisances unto that unattached, pure witness of the world, the Supreme Soul, the Personality of Godhead.
Let's get into this one.
That's a nice prayer.
It's there's a lot of information in there. Let's go into the purport, but let's go through it slowly. There's a lot there, I think, to discuss. Shall we read the verse again?
It's a long verse.
I know. We got time.
Again?
Yeah. Just jump to his prayer.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the visible cosmic manifestation.
Okay, so he's saying that everything that we see in this world, how it's born, how it develops, how it grows, and ultimately how it destroys, that he's behind it. Okay. And yet,
he's completely free from false prestige.
okay, because generally when we create something, when we maintain something, or when we destroy something, we feel a sense of like it has something to do with us. Like if we built something, we'd feel a sense of identity with what we built. Sure. There's a connection there.
Well, we were saying this yesterday, like the artist, the athlete, those who are at the highest class in the top class of what they do, peak performance athletes, etc. After a while, if their ego can move out of the way, they feel like the current of God. They're, quote, in the flow, or what did he call it? The fugue?
He called it the fugue state.
The fugue state, the flow. People call it the flow state. But and they call it like a connection with God. So this has sort of been our theme for the last couple of days. So they're saying the Lord who creates this universe, there's no concept of false ego.
That's what it mentioned. In other words, it said he's free from false prestige.
Right. Everything that we create in the material. Speak for myself. If I create something, I get proud. If I do anything, I check this out. Check what I did. That's all I do. Is that I'm desperately looking for validation. It's quite sad if you actually analyze it.
Sure. And it gets sadder.
I get
like
sadder.
Everyone, all of us. If we actually, what these sages are trying to help us understand is really try to see your position. When you get it, you're going to begin to realize just how tiny and insignificant you are. Now, it's not going to be a problem when you get there, because you're also going to realize just how special you are, just what you're made of, just how completely you're connected and really like always connected, always within. Oh, God is always within you. You are always within God. When you fully realize that, your insignificance isn't going to matter anymore. But when you don't realize it, you want to establish your own prestige based on what you create, based on what you destroy. And we create the tiniest things. It's just that. And I've asked you, I think early on in this podcast, like I asked you a question. You remember the question? I said, like, say you were home and say someone came along and gave you, I don't know, $25,000. Okay. Yeah. And they said, oh, here's $25,000. You got your truck. Create something. You got like a week. Create something. Like, how grand of an object would you be? What would you create?
You asked me this question before,
like years ago.
Oh, in all reality, and this is going to sound pretty bad, I can't create anything. I'm not. When you get to know me, you'll realize I'm not very talented at much. That's the sad thing.
Seriously,
you gave me $25,000 worth of resources to create something. Like I admire people who can do stuff with their hands, like build furniture, love them. People can build things, love them. People, artists, sculptures, I really admire. Even Mara knitting there. It's like she's great. She's creating something there. I just talk. All I do in this world is talk. And oftentimes people say I talk too much. So
my point is that whatever we can create, even the most adept or most powerful creators, ultimately what they create is very insignificant, and it has a very short shelf life,
And they get proud of it.
And
on
they-
top of that,
and they get proud of it. Whereas, and like we were discussing with Ananta yesterday, even our ability to do the most minute thing, we don't even know how we do it. You just moved your glasses, on the back of your head. You desire to do it, but you actually, what happens within your body to make that happen, you don't even know. And so how could you take any pride in doing it? Now, Vishnu, he actually knows how to do this. And actually, and I think where this verse is going to go, this commentary is going to go, is he also actually owns it. It's hit. Well, let's get to that. Let's keep going. Let's get to that point. But this is one of the opulences of Krishna or Lord Vishnu that's being described, that although he's creating everything, although he's maintaining everything, he's absorbed in something completely different, and he has zero sense of prestige connected to it.
The interesting thing is when you meet Vaishnavas, people practicing bhakti, and they do so much in this world, but they really accept, like, it's all Krishna's doing. It's really got nothing to do with me. And you're just sitting there like amazed at how much they do. But it's so beautiful to see them actually not take credit for it. Yeah. Whereas in the material world, the converse is true. People do such little things, and they're like, they are proud of what they've created. It's such in such an ugly way.
It's a sign of insecurity. It's a sign. I need something that's untrue, and I need it to establish my own validation. When the yogi or the bhakta says, like what you're saying, that it has nothing to do with me, that's not just like some standardized kind of humility statement. It's actually based on the realization. And when they get there, all of that validation that we're desperately trying to pull from here or there, that really we don't own, they've already let go of the need for that, because they've understood just how they're situated firmly in Krishna.
Yeah, like the real humility is just truth. It's not like you're self-deprecating, beating yourself up. Real humility is to understand, actually, I am tiny. Actually, I am not in control. Actually, there is a supreme controller. I'm not just beating myself up. I'm tiny. I'm a tiny little being.
So the verse established first this, that although he's creating, maintaining, annihilating everything, he's completely free from any kind of false prestige that's connected to it. We don't see that in this world. It's very hard to, and whatever we see is on such a minute level. He's doing it on such a grand level, and still there's nothing like that. Okay, then next.
I was having a day one day. We have a creek, at where we live, a creek. And so I was standing in the creek by myself, and I was building a dam. And I was
like a little beaver.
Like a little beaver. Yeah, I was building a dam out of rocks to make a little pool so the kids could play in the pool in the water. And I was getting very, very proud of my dam because the water level started getting higher, and it started like beautifully spilling over, cascading over. And I was just standing there in my glory. And a friend came over or something and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "I built my dam. Check out my dam." It was like, the friend said to me, "Raghu, people your age, they built the Hoover Dam. They built the Brooklyn Bridge. You know what I mean? Don't get too proud of your dam."
Right. So he was asking you to zoom out,
and like, this dam is nothing.
Really, what he was doing is exactly what the Bhagavatam is asking us to do so often, right? Just consider your accomplishments from a zoomed out perspective, and suddenly they become very small. And again, that's not a problem. Ultimately, that truth is going to liberate you. When you get it all in place, that truth is going to liberate you. It's not going to make you feel depressed. It's not going to make you feel insignificant. It's going to give you truth. And when you get to that truth, everything becomes like super glorious.
Because there's always a downside of getting proud about some tiny accomplishment. And sometimes because usually that proud is built on like, that's my worth. And then there's going to be someone who builds a better chair than the chair that you've built.
So quick, it's gone.
And you're in so much anxiety about it. I had another funny story. I had a friend who was always complaining about his brother. "Oh, my brother's such a loser. He doesn't do anything with his life. He just sits home all day. He plays music and watches video games." This was years ago, before people even did video games. And then I was talking to his brother. And he's like, "Yeah, I had a great day today. My team won." I was like, "Oh, what do you mean your team?" He goes, "I coach a soccer team." I was like, "Oh, it's pretty cool." And I'm thinking, there's a lot in coaching a soccer team. You got to deal with interpersonal, relationships and get those kids moving and get them off their butts and get them excited and rally behind them.
Big speech, give them the big speech.
Give them a big speech before the game. Now their team won. They're heading to the championship. And I was like, I don't know why you're complaining about your brother. He's coaching this soccer team. He's like, yeah, the soccer team's online. It's not a real team. It's like a virtual team. It's
No, I have a friend who used to do, I may have talked about this on the show before, but he would do this thing online where you like fly an airplane and it doesn't even look real. It's not even like a simulator. It's kind of, it's something like a simulator, but it's just kind of like just a weak video game where like you're flying an airplane and there's other people online watching you do it. I don't get it. I'm trying to understand, like, what is the point? And they even give them money. I don't get it. Yeah. Okay. In any case, let's try to keep it real here. So
leave the squirrels to me.
no, but well, I got a squirrel for you. But this is, since we're in Austria, or I was thinking of Mozart, and I was thinking of, who was the other one? Salieri. Who can help me? Salieri. Right. So if you say, how do you pronounce it again? Salieri. Salieri. Okay, so in that film, Amadeus, there's did you see that film?
No.
Really?
Didn't.
That one would be worth your.
He lost his mind or something?
Salieri was, the film begins with him in like in an asylum, like in an insane asylum. And there's a priest that's kind of counseling him. He's about, you can see he's very old, he's about to die, but he's just bitter to the core. The priest is there trying to, bring him a little bit to God, try to, open him up, let go of some things. Maybe there's some things we need to talk about, some things you can share that you can get off your chest and maybe turn to God before you die. But he's got no interest in turning back. And the priest is saying to him, "So what is it that you did for a living?" And he said, "Well, I was a composer." He's sitting at a piano. He's like, "I was a composer." He's, "Oh, composer, so nice, wonderful. Yeah, did you compose anything that I may have heard before?" And he's like, "Well, how about this one?" And he plays something. He's like, "No, never heard that before." How about this one? Nope, never heard that before. How about this one? Nope, never heard that before either. Then he says, "Well, how about this one?" And things like that. Da, 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 da. And the priest is like, "Oh yes, that very nice, that beautiful." No, that was Mozart.
That's Bach.
I'm not going to argue with you about it, but but yeah,
He was like Mozart's enemy or something.
He was obsessed with envy towards Mozart. Now, and it then it goes back. So then it goes back to his life. Yeah, and so it goes.
Is this the musical Amadeus?
That came out at the same time.
Okay.
But it was based on the musical. Either the musical was based on the film, or the film was. I think the film was based on the musical. So then it goes back to the early childhood of Salieri, where he's praying to God, "If you just give me the ability," this is so connected to everything we've been talking about. "If you give me the ability to become the greatest composer of all time, I promise to you, I will use that to glorify you."
Yeah.
Not just.
This is like the beginning stages of Bhakti. Like, okay, Krishna, you give me a beautiful spouse, and I promise I'll. Right. It's like we have an agenda, and then Krishna's got his own agenda.
And so his, it was like, "I'll serve you if you give me the prestige." And it's, what are you really trying to relish? I'm trying to relish the prestige, right? What am I trying to taste? I'm not trying to taste the joy of serving selflessly with love. I'm trying to taste the prestige that I get by being the greatest servant of God. And so his prayer is not quite fulfilled. He's given great talent. He's given great ability, far more than practically anyone else, except Mozart, who from a very, very early childhood is just insanely gifted. And so the whole thing has to do with this constant tension that even though like Mozart was, at least as he's portrayed in the film, he's a bit how would I say it, like huh oh, he's definitely, yeah, obnoxious, and I was going to say also just like hedonistic, in his habits and so on. He's just incredibly gifted, but he's just running around like, just like enjoying, hedonistically. But what we see, and Salieri's looking at him like, why him? I was ready to be your devotee. I was ready to be your messenger. I was ready to do it all for you. And you've given, he even says like that, this creature, even this creature, you've given him this gift. He just can't stand it. And you begin to see that actually, even though Mozart is like hedonistic and Salieri was apparently like religious, Salieri's heart is much darker, and Mozart is, even though he's like externally hedonistic, he's kind of like honest, and there's something more pure about him. So
Material world's so nasty, isn't it? It's like, this is the stuff that like tortures us. Like, it seems like I should be getting it. It seems like I should have it. The world wants me to have it, but there's some ceiling, some karmic ceiling I keep bumping into.
there's the point. Like, so he was capable of composing operas, and great compositions that were admired and that were on stage, and some it's very rare a person could do that, but still, because that other person was doing it better than him, it just ate him up, and to the point where he's in that asylum, just like bitter at the world, bitter at God, bitter at everyone. So here again, we're hearing Krishna, he creates beyond what anyone could, but there's zero attachment. There's no need for prestige. We don't need that prestige either. Why? Because we are made of his energy. It's like, in that sense, we're flawless. In that sense, we're impenetrable. We're eternal. We just need to once we feel that, if we actually feel that sense of eternity, if we actually feel that sense of, I am made of God's energy, I'm made of eternality, knowledge, and bliss, then there's no need for prestige. And we just have to begin to practice to train ourselves to think that way.
It was like what was happening in the 90s in the music scene, how our band, all these bands we were friends with were getting signed.
Underground bands are getting signed to big labels.
Huge labels, like the labels that you grew up with as a kid, like Steely Dan is on this label, Led Zeppelin's on this label, the biggest bands in the world are on this label, and it was all now. Which one? Once you get
who's going to get signed before the other guy?
Not only just get signed, because you can get signed and nothing happens. You get a big record deal, nothing happens. But once you get signed, it's like, who is now going to get propelled? And everybody is sort of like on the edge of their seat. And it comes to this point of, and there were some great bands that got signed, but nothing ever happened. And then there's some bands that weren't any good, and they didn't have a story, a history, and they just skyrocketed to the top. And it was like, it was almost like you could do everything right, but there was like a karmic, part of the combination you had to have in there. And if you didn't have that karma, it just wasn't going to happen.
It doesn't matter how hard you work or what break you get.
And thank God for Vedic teachings to frame this whole thing out, because I could see how, people pounding the pavement through the music or acting, it can drive you insane.
Or like if you left a band and then that band becomes huge.
We know those stories too.
That'll drive
We
you
know
nuts.
those stories too.
Yes, things like that. Okay, let us continue.
Where are we?
We're still in this verse. It continues. Although to the foolish, he appears to have accepted a material body like us, he is unaffected by bodily tribulations. So he doesn't need prestige. He also doesn't become hungry. He doesn't thirst. He has no fatigue. And then it gets very interesting here too. Although he is the witness who sees everything, his senses are unpolluted by the objects he sees. If we expose our senses to certain visions or certain sounds or so on, our senses begin to acquire the need for more of that, right? Sure. He sees everything and remains entirely unaffected. Okay. Let me, Narda speaking, offer my respectful obeisances unto that unattached, pure witness of the world, the supreme soul, the personality of Godhead, right? And so for the yogi, of course, that's indicating he's witnessing my mind, he's witnessing my thoughts, he's witnessing my actions, he's hearing my words, right? Always there. Okay, let's get into the commentary.
It's a very tall order that they're asking for us in the material world. It's like you have to be ready to give, this Lord Chaitanya, all validation to everyone else. I really appreciate what you're doing. Really appreciate what you're doing. You're doing such great work in this world, but really expecting no validation from anybody. I mean, a lot of therapists will say that's a relationship killer, like not appreciating your partner. But in one sense, we're here to give appreciation. And if you think about how the material energy works, is I desperately needed validation. I want people to validate who I am, appreciate. We even say, I feel like you don't appreciate me. That's like a big issue with couples. You don't appreciate me. I do so much for you. And it's like, this is what they're asking of us. We have to appreciate everybody and expect nothing in return. How do you get over that?
It's not meant to be it's not meant to be like necessarily exactly applied to how to work out relationships. In other words, sometimes within a relationship, there's a certain need for something to function well, but on the deep, there's the functional, right? And then there's the fundamental. So especially this is drawn functionally, we may need to follow certain norms in order to get along and for things to move forward. But fundamentally, we don't need any of that, right? Fundamentally, eternally, we're situated beyond all of these temporary needs.
And we've seen people who do get what they want. There's people who actually get more validation than they even ask for. They get so much validation. They do a little thing. They do a song. They do a dance. They do a drama. They write a book. They do some art, and everybody is losing it and giving them validation. The cover of People magazine. They get so much validation, and you think, well, now I should be completely grounded, whole, and connected. And they're not. Oftentimes, they're even more nuts than they were before they got the validation,
because they're even more removed from the fundamental understanding. It actually took them further from the real foundation.
Because the leaves of the tree get their
It's like a metaphor.
The leaves of the tree get their connection from the roots, not from the other leaves.
It doesn't matter how much that leaf looks like a tree. It's not one. It's understanding that it's a leaf that gives its stability.
Yeah, the leaves are all connected, but by the roots. That's just.
Let's read this commentary. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is described as Sat Chid Ananda Vigraha, the body of eternity, transcendental bliss, and full knowledge. You could say the embodiment, right? Now, in this verse, he is more fully described. Krishna is the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation, yet he is unattached to it. 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita gets into this nicely too, If we were to construct a very tall skyscraper, we would be very attached to it.
Check it out. Liberty Tower.
Maybe put your name on it.
Yeah. Rocco Tower.
Okay. We would be very attached to it, but Krishna is so renounced that although he has created everything, he is not attached to it. He's not attached to anything at all. Na bhadyate. Furthermore, although Krishna has his transcendental form, Sat Chid Ananda Vigraha, he is not disturbed by the bodily necessities of life, which are called daihika, for example. He is never hungry, thirsty, or fatigued. Nahanyate dehagato pi daihikai. Then again, and this point really interests me a lot, what we're about to get into. You ready?
Krishna's property.
Yes. Then again, since everything is Krishna's property, you see, we really don't create anything, right? Like
we're manipulators of things already created.
Exactly. If someone did give you $25,000 for you to create something. Really, all you'll be doing is buying stuff that's already created. And then transforming that. But all the ingredients, what to speak of your ability to manipulate those ingredients, but even the ingredients themselves are coming from another creator. There's nothing that we can create. And when we don't create it, in a sense, we don't own it. Or in another way, when your consciousness permeates something, in a sense, it's yours. Like, for instance, we teach people to like respect each other's bodies, right? Because like that's theirs. Why is it there? Like that's your body. So it means like you can determine what happens to it. And that's respected because your consciousness is flowing throughout this body. You're the one that either enjoys or suffers through that body because your consciousness permeates it. Here we're seeing that the consciousness of Lord Vishnu, he is the soul of the universe. This universe is a body. He's the soul, and his consciousness permeates the entire universe. Therefore, the entire thing is his. We're kind of just like little parasites on the body of Lord Vishnu, but it's his body. And nothing of that body do we actually own, just like a parasite doesn't own your body.
Ready for some Shelter lyrics? Circa 1993.
I think you've said this one before, but it's a good one.
Secondhand gods.
Secondhand.
Secondhand gods. That's all we are. Not creating, manipulating, and leaving the scars. Robbing from the earth, stealing from the trees, not out of need, but greed and false prestige. But it's all yours. What can we own? Not family, property. It's all on loan. But our miserly minds of I, me, and mine fight in wars for what's not ours. And here's my plea for Sharanagati. Boom.
The bard of his generation, people. No, very good. Okay, so let's continue reading this, but let's keep all this in mind as we move forward. But those concepts are what the Bhagavad Gita shares, or Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam share with us, right? Just this idea, how life transforming it could be, that actually I own nothing, right? If we could contemplate that and reflect on that daily, it will set us free, right? It'll set us free from so much anxiety, from so much false need that we have. Okay.
And Prabhupada hammers this in the Krishna book too. You don't even own your own body. Isn't that a great, like, you don't, okay, again, I don't own my house. I don't own my stuff. I don't own my wealth. You don't even own your body.
Even our body is really made out of Lord Vishnu's body, right? It's like, because it's not only even our consciousness, which permeates our body, is really just a little something that he gives us, but his consciousness as Paramama is actually permeating our body as well. He owns it all.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he continues. Then again, since everything is Krishna's property, he sees everything and is present everywhere because his body is transcendental. He is above vision, the objects of vision, and the process of vision. When we now here we go. In other words, what's our relationship to vision? We're granted the ability to see a certain amount, right? A certain amount we can't see. A certain amount, even right in front of us, there's certain things that we don't see. But we're granted a certain measure of vision, power of vision. He's got unlimited vision. We've got minute vision. But what is our relationship to vision? What we see moves us. It may attract us. It may repel us. But we tend to be very, unless we're deeply realized and understand these truths behind it all, we tend to become controlled by what we see, right? What we see one vision and it makes us want to pursue it. We see one vision and it makes us want to avoid it. And we spend our life controlled by that, not as almost like a slave. He's got unlimited vision, but he's beyond it. He's not in any way controlled by it. So it's saying he's the witness of everything. He's not only within every living being, he's within every atom. Yet somehow, this is what the yogis sit up in these hills and they ponder. Yet somehow he's entirely aloof. And it's giving the clue to what truth is and to what freedom looks like. So it goes on. He sees, then again, he sees, since everything is Krishna's property, he sees everything and is present everywhere. But because his body is transcendental, he is above vision, the objects of vision, and the process of vision. When we see someone beautiful, we are attracted. The sight of a beautiful woman immediately attracts a man, and the sight of a man naturally attracts a woman. Krishna, however, is transcendental to all these faults. He calls them, right, faults. Like a fault meaning
You're not going to necessarily get what you want from that.
almost like it doesn't function properly, right? It's like we should be able to see things and not be controlled by them. That's a fault. It's a weakness. He's free of that weakness entirely. Krishna, however, is transcendental to all these faults. Although he is the seer of everything, he is not afflicted with faulty vision. Na drig yasya guner vidusyate. Okay. Therefore, although he is the witness and seer, he is aloof from all affection for the activities he sees. Here, affection, I think we can understand as attachment, right? He is always unattached and separate. He is only a witness. Nice purport, right? Nice purport. How are we doing on time?
54.
We got 5 minutes. In any case, let's leave it here. But this it's so fascinating. Like when I think of these yogis, and I think of primarily the object of their meditation is Lord Vishnu within the heart, right? They would practice Ashtanga yoga. They'd practice yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, et cetera, to get and sit in a place, something like where we're at, right? Sit in a lonely place in a very natural setting, away from other people, and cultivate bringing their attention entirely, 100%, on the Paramatma within the heart in a state of trance, that they would understand that in that it's said that when you hit the stage of dhyana, right, in those 8 steps, your concentration on the one object becomes so riveted that if you can hold it there for a certain amount of time, whatever the object of your meditation is, subtle things about that object are revealed to you that normal people aren't picking up on. That's Yoga Sutras describes like this. And then what to speak of samadhi, where your absorption becomes still deeper, right? Where you're so absorbed in the object of your meditation, you even lose touch with the idea that I'm separate from the object that I'm meditating on, because you're entirely focused on the object. But imagine if you could rivet that type of attention on Lord Vishnu within your own heart, the subtle things that would be revealed to you.
Yeah.
And the result of that.
It's almost as if the closest thing we get to understand it is if 2 things come to mind. If you're ever like madly in love with somebody, or if you're afraid someone's going to, kick your butt. Ever have that happen where you're just like, this guy's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He told me he's going to come.
Totally absorbed.
It's going to every waking moment after school. He's going to wait for me after school. I know this. And it's just like everything it's in your mind. Imagine that, or with love, or with love, like, oh yeah, everything is love, So yeah, imagine that for Lord Vishnu, and how it's not stagnant. And it actually delivers. Like the love, some material love doesn't necessarily deliver what you expect it to, and material fear also doesn't deliver what you're expecting. But Krishna actually is constantly evolving and changing and revealing while you're obsessed with that meditation. It's a beautiful obsession.
You've got such a bhakti vision of it, even from like the more like just pure yogic vision, right? That if you could rivet your attention solely on Lord Vishnu, then really, in one sense, we don't have to, because it's all being told to us right here. But the idea is that you would understand Lord Vishnu so well, and understand the exact things that are being told to us by Narada in Srimad Bhagavatam here, in this verse, that you would understand, oh, I get it now. He's everywhere. Everything is his. My consciousness, my very existence is a manifestation of his energy, there's nothing to worry about. I'm eternal. I understand everything now. I feel the bliss of that. Then you're free. Then you're free. And it's just, our problem is that we just don't want to bring our attention there. Or if we try to bring our attention there, we're so quickly and easily distracted or diverted from it. But what's the solution? Just daily, right? You got to dig that groove deeper and deeper, just by daily hearing, daily reflection. And these truths that are here, they may even seem a little foreign or alien to us now. They'll become very natural, and they'll grow deeper, and they will set us free.
Mara, our takeaways will set us free. Yeah, you hold it.
No, I never get to hold it. The highest thing is to worship Krishna in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Our creations are insignificant.
Not insignificant, but tiny in the big picture. I mean, you create the Hoover Dam is pretty cool. You create a daisy, that's really cool.
How can we be proud when we don't even know how to do anything? Yeah. Real humility is truth. We are tiny and not in control. Humility is truth. Consider your accomplishments from a zoomed out perspective. Mm-hmm. Give up the taste for prestige.
Spit it out.
Thank God for the Vedic framework.
Thank God.
We're manipulators, not creators.
That's somewhere.
And don't get too proud of your dam.
Listen, I was being very vulnerable there, and you guys are rubbing it in.
Photograph of it?
I didn't take a photograph of it. No, I didn't. Last time I'm vulnerable on the show, okay? Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks to all the Zoomers out there following our crazy schedule. Jim Wood, happy birthday. And I want to thank all the live people here from all over the world. Oh, we're coming back. We're coming. Wrong camera. Do that again. Spin that thing for them. Try this again, people. The Austrian Alps. Now we're going on a kirtan boat. It's a kirtan raft. We're going on a kirtan raft where we'll have kirtan and jump in the water. I know. What am I'm thinking of like Tom Sawyer on or Huckleberry Finn. That's what I'm thinking of, a raft and a stick crossing the Mississippi River. That's what I'm thinking of right now. Anyway, thanks everybody. So no show till when?
Tuesday.
No show till Tuesday. Sans Kastuba. All squirrels, all week. Thanks everybody. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Let the magic continue to flow. Howdy-bo.